and welcome to our show, Film Talk with AJ Dean. I'm AJ Dean, and tonight we have a phenomenal guest in the building, Mary McCusker. She is an actress, acting coach, and also an author of a wonderful book. We're going to talk to her about that. Welcome, Mary. How are you?
Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is my favorite time of year in Los Angeles because it's cool out, it's not smoggy, it feels like a season.
Yes, and it's winter. And do they decorate with lights there in Los Angeles?
Huge, huge. Neighborhoods do lots of holiday lights. Yeah, it's great.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I'm so glad that you joined us, and it's so great to meet you. You're from True Hollywood, Los Angeles, and we want to talk a little bit about your movie posters, but I want to mention, you actually told me that you taught Angelina Jolie was it in Portland when you were?
Yes, so the movie was shot in Portland. It was called Foxfire, and it was based on a Joyce Carol Oates book. Wow. And it was called Foxfire: Confessions of a Girl Gang. And it took place in the 1950s. And it was the first assertion of women in backlash to a teacher who was being sexist and coming on to all of the female students. What they decided to do when they rewrote the script was to make it in the 90s, because that's when we shot it. I think it was 96 or something like that. But it was Angelina Jolie's second film. So I was hired to work with the ensemble and all of the actresses in the rehearsal period. So I went up to Portland for 3 weeks, and I absolutely loved it up there. I mean, I loved it. Mount Hood, am I right?
Yes.
Oh, I hiked there. I just found it so gorgeous. I do remember one thing. It rained the entire time I was there. And I remember being in one coffee shop and then walking down the street, and there was a coffee shop at the end of the block. And I walked in that coffee shop and I said, how do you survive your business with a coffee shop on either end of the block? And he said, that's how we get down the block. I thought that was so funny.
Absolutely. We all support each other here. So they probably were in each other's coffee shops supporting each other. So that's probably what it was.
And so, yeah, and we've been in this horrible drought for so many years now that it's intermittently very scary. So the idea of being in a climate where there's rain, to me, is joy.
Yes, well, we definitely have enough water for you Californians, because you're our neighbor state. We're we're neighbors here. Yeah. So and one good thing though about California is at least it has all the ocean and the water there. So you've got a beautiful coastline as well. Mary, before we get into it deeper, I do want to say a very special thank you and shout out to Diane Hinds from the Entertainment Bureau in London. She's our friend, your friend and mine.
Yes.
And she's just so wonderful. Thank you so much. Hi, Diane.
Hi, Diane. Thank you for putting us together.
Right. We're sending you hugs and kisses all the way to London.
Yes.
We love you. She's such a great friend and person and a beautiful heart. So thank you so much, Diane.
And a great connector. She knows how to put people together.
Yes, she does. Yes, she does. And Mary, it's such a thrill for me to meet you, because you have not only been in Star Trek as an actress that I watched, so I've seen you, but you also have coached for some of the biggest stars like Drew Barrymore and a film, The Next Best Thing with Madonna. This is amazing. So let's start out. First of all, I want to talk about your book. Can we talk about your book first?
Yes, that would be awesome. Thank you.
So this is your book. It's called Auditioning: What They Say When You Leave the Room. This is a fabulous read. I love the cover. It's so much fun. It's one of the best books I own. It's a wonderful, easy read. Tell us, how did you get that title, Mary?
So I actually the title came to, all right, so here's how it all started. I have been working in TV and film for, if I'm going to be honest, 40 years. So I have worked with incredible directors, incredible actresses. And one of the processes that always stymied me, even when I was an actress, if I got the role, I was completely happy to be on set and working with people or in the theater. But the auditioning process it can wear you down because actors don't really get to know why they didn't get the job. So that becomes very frustrating. Did I do something wrong? Or, and the agents can't always get feedback. So you're left walking out of the room. What happened? Was it okay? I liked when I did that. No, I didn't like that. Ooh, I wish I could do it again. All this second guessing. And the truth of the matter is I think almost everybody feels that no matter what the job is.
Yes.
Walk out and you want to know what are they saying about me? So I was falling asleep one night and that came to me that would be the right title for the book. So what I did is I interviewed all of these directors and casting directors that I worked with, and I asked them, what do you look for? What are some of the factors? What is charisma? What is it that makes someone stand out in the room? And then I interviewed 3 actors who work all the time and asked them, what are their experiences working and getting the job? What did they do to get the job? So they're anecdotal on one hand, and then there's bullet points at the end of every chapter to give you tips on do's and don'ts. And then in the back of the book, I added an addendum that is all about self-tapes, because that's what they're doing now. Yes. And on one hand, it's the good news and the bad news. The good news is that if you're living in Oregon, if you go on Actors Access, then or a number of other platforms, I've heard there's another one, Frontier, where casting directors send in breakdowns and you can put yourself on tape and submit yourself for the role. What they ask more and more is, can you be a local hire? So if you have friends, you could possibly be a local hire and come down to Los Angeles and get hired. So amazing. You put yourself on a self-tape and then submit yourself, and then you get a shot at coming to work in Los Angeles or wherever wherever they're casting. There's a fair amount of films being shot in Oregon, aren't there?
I hope so. There's an office here, and of course they just had the Portland Film Festival. And I have a few friends who attended, and their friends had some films that were highlighted there and awarded. Right. But yeah, I think there's production going all over the country. You just have to inquire to your local, film office and reach out to the various organizations. There's great ones here and all over. So yes, Oregon is a fun place to film, and there's a lot of greenery. So it's very attractive to, there's a lot of wilderness. I know that The Hunted was filmed here with Tommy Lee Jones and Benicio del Toro. In fact, my husband was an extra in that movie. And so that was really fun. They had to drive up to Portland, and it was like a tunnel scene. So there's a lot of foliage here and greenery and some great cinematic backgrounds.
Yes, so going back to working with Angelina Jolie on Foxfire, that was a low budget film at that time, and the director was a first-time director. She had been a script supervisor, and she had gotten her shot to direct the film. So it's worth looking at.
What was it like working with Angelina Jolie? Now, she was like 19, right, Mary?
She was 19. It was her second film. I remember that that they did some rehearsals, and the director said to me, "You need to talk to her." And the producer said, "Yes, she's tipping the character in one scene, and she's crying way too much, and you've got to talk her out of that choice because she's the leader of the girl gang, and she has to be the strong one." So we took a walk. That was essentially how I coached her. She was very strong-willed and very clear on what she wanted to do with the role. So we had this long, long talk, and I talked her out of it.
That's fabulous. So you really went on a walk with her. It's like, let's go for a walk, right? And
But this is how I describe it to my friends. I shouldn't be saying this, but I will anyway. I remember walking down the street with her, and I thought, oh, this is what it means to be a goddess. Because I felt like I was her puppy dog walking with her. Because men came out of stores. People would come and just stop and watch her. She was in a t-shirt and jeans and just walking down the street. She had no pretension about her whatsoever. It was just an elegance.
yes, and
Just a natural. She's tall,
thin, attractive, very beautiful, right? Yes, of course. Well, what a fun experience to be with her and to
at that early stage in her career. Yes.
Yes, very monumental. And what a milestone. You were right there at the beginning, Mary. So
Yeah.
your help and your guidance and your coaching, that experience was there for Angelina Jolie as a base foundation. I love it. I love this so much.
Yeah.
That is so much fun. Thank you for that beautiful memory. And speaking about your book, I loved, you mentioned you've written it so well. I love the cartoon on the front. It's truly wonderful. And you've got interviews, like you said, from actors, acting coaches, and directors. Each has valuable and interesting views and perspectives. So you have to buy the book to read it because it's really detailed. And
you can get it on Amazon. It's $14.95. But I'll tell you something that one of the interviews is it's the interview I put first. It's from Todd Holland. I was on the TV series Malcolm in the Middle for 7 years.
Wow.
And so Todd was one of the creators of that show. He was the director on the show for the first 3 seasons.
Wow.
And I stayed friends with him. This whole industry is all about networking. So when I asked him if he would be a part of the book, he was very happy to contribute.
Sure.
But one of the things he says, and I'm always saying it to actors, and I actually think it's a wonderful triangle for life. So what he says is that you should always protect your joy. Whatever is your passion in life, you should protect it. So, and I interpret that as meaning if you're careful who you tell people what it is you want to do with your life or what is your ultimate passion.
Yeah.
Because you don't want people to take it away from you or say, oh, you can't do that, or, well, really, or, any doubting Thomases, because your joy is your passion, and that's what you bring into the room. And when I asked a number of these directors, what is confidence? It is that feeling of I'm comfortable with who I am. Yeah. If you're going to give me 15, 20, 50, $100,000 to do this job, you can trust me. I can do this.
Yes.
And so that's a kind of confidence that's connected to your passion. That doesn't mean you're not nervous. That doesn't mean you're not terrified. That doesn't mean you won't get an acting coach like me to help you through it. Right. Or you won't solicit all of your friends who you trust and can support you. But protecting your joy is understanding your life's purpose in a way, or your gift that you have to give the world.
Yes.
So you protect your joy, you keep working on your craft, you keep growing however you need to grow. So we're all in this phase because of the pandemic and Zoom and everything else. We're learning how to continue our craft, to find a way of expressing ourselves through the camera. As actors have to put themselves on tape now and submit tapes.
Right.
So they're learning how to do their own close-ups. So all of that is a learning experience. So you keep working on your craft, you keep taking classes, you keep meeting new people. And then the third thing is your social media and your relationships with people. And Todd believes if you keep all 3 of them going, you will grow as a creative person. You just have to keep working them, keep them going. So I remind myself that all the time, that this is my passion. I love teaching. I absolutely love teaching. I love being an on-set coach. I was an actress, so I get the language to talk to actors.
Yeah.
And I like, we're like a team of vagabonds. You know, we jump on this bandwagon and we go into outer space to make this film, and then we come back to Earth. But
Yes.
we're a gypsy caravan, you
I
know.
love it. I love that you said gypsy, you know, just like Stevie Nicks, that song, Gypsy. Absolutely.
Yes,
we twirl around and make a little bit of magic and then come back and do it again. Right, Mary?
yes, yes,
So
yes.
I love what you said about what Todd said. Those are so important. And really that joy is also peace, right? Mary, would you say peace is another word for it?
Yes, because it is, I don't, whether you're spiritual or not, but it's owning gifts that you've been given,
Yes.
you know, and it's kind of saying, this is what makes me happy. I won't let anyone take it away from me. I will get down now and then. I'll get discouraged. I'll get frustrated. I will whatever. But this is where my joy is.
Yes, this is my passion, my happiness, and this is something that will always be mine. You can always have that. There's a little piece of passion within each of us that we can always do something that we love, that we absolutely love. It can be a hobby, it can be a profession.
Yeah.
But to hold on to that, it's such great advice. Thank you so much for that, Mary. And I know that's going to help a lot of people out there too. So, and in your book, I learned that acting is about believability and also what captures their attention. Is that right? Is that part of it, Mary, or what would you say?
Are you saying in terms of going in and auditioning in the room?
Yes,
Yeah,
that
so you have to. So I studied in New York City. I went to the Boston Conservatory of Music, and then from there I went to the Neighborhood Playhouse in New York City, and I studied with a famous teacher at the time. He was a method acting teacher, and his name was Sanford Meisner. And what Meisner taught was what he called moment-to-moment acting, staying present, not jumping ahead too much, not anticipating your lines, but studying your lines really by rote separately. And then when you meet the actor you're working with, you work off their behavior.
amazing.
So you're smiling at me now, so I feel encouraged to keep talking.
Yeah.
Picking up on that behavior, and that's encouraging me to stay present and keep talking. So the Meisner technique and many acting classes teach that telling the truth under imaginary circumstances. That is the definition to me of acting, is telling the truth. So you read a script and the story is, you know, I was just watching on the news, which really bugging me about fentanyl, but you know, I've never taken fentanyl. I don't know what it's to be on drugs, but I do know what it is to feel sick and to feel really, you know, the flu or something. So if I were to get a role that I had to play a drug addict, does that mean I go out and shoot drugs? No, obviously not. But I would study tapes. I would look for interviews with people. I would find ways of going to. So that's your research. That's all the work you do to learn more about the topic. I was very, very lucky that most of the projects I did as an actress were true stories. So I got to do lots of research about the people that I played. But then secondly, so to tell the truth, you have to be able to put yourself in the circumstances of the character and as best you know, but this is the instrument. You're not a pianist playing a piano or a violin. You are the instrument. So you have to use your knowledge, your body, what you do when you're upset, what you do when you're sick, what you do when you're frightened, what you do when you're angry, what you do when you're happy, you know, so and then parallel them to the character truthfully.
Yes, so it has to be believable and real.
Yes, and so what happens is, you know, you watch a piece of film or TV or something, and you say, that's a really good actor.
Yeah.
Why do you say they're a good actor? Because you believe them, because they are using themselves in a very unique and honest way. So they're not caring about how they look when they're in the depth of the scene. They're really focused
Absolutely.
On the character. And so that's what acting is focus and concentration. So it's true when you go into the auditioning room or a meeting for a job, is if you follow your passion and your joy and the truth of what you feel about that job or the character, people can feel that in the room. You can see it on screen. I mean, I can meet an actor and not know them very well at all. And I can immediately feel when they're being phony and when they're being themselves. I can feel it instantly.
Yeah.
It's an energy. You can tell people when they're grounded and being themselves.
Sure. And that comes across no matter what, wherever we are. And that's why you have to be true to yourself and authentic. And yeah, I mean, the truth comes out. I always say that eventually the heart reveals itself, no matter what relationship or what job or what project, and the truth always comes out. So, give it your best shot, be real, be authentic, and have fun most of all. That's my key. So
I teach at Loyola Marymount University.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I do. I've been there for 15 years.
Wow.
It's been incredible because I teach one class a semester, but if I go off to do a movie, I get one of the other professors to cover me. But it's been consistent, and one of the classes I teach is improv comedy, and I teach the class. It isn't really about being funny. If it's funny, I set the games up in a way that it can be funny, but that's a way of protecting your joy.
Sure.
And so I've been pitching to the business department at LMU, and now it looks like next fall I will be teaching in the business department, because I know I love this. Because yeah, really, and I do feel like this is my life force, and it has to do with having joy, having fun. We got that. We've had enough seriousness these last 3 years. It's been really rough, but we have to have a piece of us that can laugh and be silly, and we don't want to lose that.
Absolutely. We need that our entire lives. In fact, here I am with getting my wig here. You're saying be real and don't worry how you look, and my eyelashes is Lucille balling me a little bit. But anyway, we're just gonna go.
Oh, good. You look great. You look great.
It's not easy to wear a wig. I really admire the actors and actresses that have that.
The best wig makers in the world are in Los Angeles. People would flip out if they knew how everybody, even Madonna in The Next Best Thing in that picture, everybody wears wigs in LA. Everybody. or what are they, extensions? Or why not? Whatever makes you feel good.
This is me. I feel that this is me. And so I was going to wear this little clip on here too, just to add on to something. I might just go ahead and do that. There we go. Okay. But yeah, you're right. So speaking of Madonna, we've got these two great posters online. Mary, they're wonderful. It's The Big Miracle and The Next Best Thing. Now, The Big Miracle was I saw both of these. I love them. You were the coach for both of these films. Is that right?
Yes.
Let's talk about Big Miracle and Drew Barrymore. Did you coach one-on-one with her?
No.
Okay, but you did coach on that film, right?
Oh yeah, no, I was on the film, the whole film. So it was shot in Anchorage, Alaska, which is one of my favorite states ever. You gotta go. Have you been?
No, but I've always seen the beautiful pictures. Is it really like that, Mary?
I mean, the whole state has about 600,000 people, so it's pretty rural.
Wow.
And about 350,000 of them are in Anchorage. So it's probably grown a little bit more than that, but I just have to tell you, it's called The Last Frontier, and it is. Oh. It's the weather there is so intense and magical and special. So Ken Kwapis was a director that I worked with on Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, and I worked with him on Malcolm in the Middle, and I worked with him on, what was the other film? I've worked with him 5 times. Wow. I loved him as a director. So he asked me to come on this film to coach the boy he was a 12-year-old boy in it. But then also there was an older man who was a Nupiaq Native Alaskan, and I was asked to coach him, and he had never acted before, and he played sort of the shaman role in the film. And then there were all these Inupiaq Native men from Anchorage and from different parts of the state who they flew in. And so they had never been in front of a camera. So I was very busy on that film. Drew took care of herself. But I'll tell you one anecdote about Drew. I just want to say I had an incredible time working with all these men. It was a spiritual experience for me, as well as just a complete joy. I ate whale for the first time. I had seal for the first time. And so that was it. And those are considered culinary delicacies, you know. And so, but the men had brought that to me, and I couldn't turn them down. They put it in a special box with a ribbon, and it was a big deal. I had a little water handy, so I tasted it and went. But it was so, all right. So we're on the set with Drew Barrymore, and I don't want to tip it, but there's a very emotional scene on the ice where Drew Barrymore starts crying. And I often tell this story to actors because Drew started, you know, did the scene, and she's sitting there and she's crying, and then a plane would go overhead. And then they'd say, cut, let's go again. Well, you know, 15, 20 takes later, it was a flight path, and it was every 20 minutes.
Oh, she must have been exhausted.
Exhausted and frustrated, and just, it was really hard. What I noticed she did is she put her earbuds in between each take. And I would love to know what she put in there to keep herself in it.
Yeah. Was it like a radio that she was listening to?
Yeah, it was, who knows? She was either listening to music, it was on her phone. So it was either music or
wonderful calming frequencies, you know, like the, you know, some megahertz that's healing.
Right. Or, you know, I have said to actors when I've been coaching them, and I used it myself, rather than getting in your head when you know you have an emotional scene coming up, rather than getting it, I've got to cry, you've got to keep this, you know, and you're pumping yourself up. Pick a piece of music, because the music goes to your unconscious. There are songs I can listen to that I can feel it immediately in my chest, like and if you breathe and relax into it, everything that you see of an actor or a person on film is using something from their life that they love, that they may have lost, they have fears about losing, or they love so much it moves them. It could be a parent, it could be a partner, it could be a child, it could be an animal. Animals are profound because animals are, so they're our silent best friends.
They really are.
I mean, I could cry over my dog like that.
Me too. I think they're angels, actually.
They really are.
Yeah.
They are truly angels.
And
so she could have had anything on that tape.
Yeah.
Anything.
What a fun story.
And that's what everyone should know. You use your truth about what, and you make a decision. I'm going to open my heart and show what I love in my life through this character.
Oh, I love that. That's so beautiful. And it's real. Again, it's, you know, we're talking about being authentic. It's that real, using the real emotions, right, Mary?
Right.
And that's what makes things believable, when you do connect that to our experiences. Now, is that method acting? Is that the same kind of thing?
No, I think that method acting has morphed over the years. There is no strict way of approaching a role anymore.
Yeah.
I don't feel that way. I don't coach that way. I think everybody finds their own way. I sit with an actor and say, how do you work? Does this work for you? Does this not? You know, what works for you? There's terms that are used. I think it's valuable to learn those terms. there's something called personalization. So when I mentioned earlier about, playing a character that's on drugs, since I haven't done heavy duty drugs, I would have to do a parallel. So I would have to do a personalization of a time when I felt really sick, or a time when I felt really high, or when I've observed somebody in my family or otherwise, and partly mimic that behavior and partly ground it in a way that feels real to me and looks real.
Yes, that makes sense. I love that. I love that, what you said, and I love the sharing of it. I was trying to think, would you think of something like when you were either intoxicated or had some alcohol, but would that be different? Is that
Oh,
different?
it could be part of it. That's why you'd look at a lot of YouTube videos, and then also see if you can interview people. There was a movie I worked on with Meryl Streep, and it was called First Do No Harm.
I love Meryl Streep.
I know, I did too. I loved meeting her, and I loved being around her, and it was an awesome experience. So on that film, I was coaching a boy who played her son, and the film was about a true story about a boy who had seizures, and it was called First Do No Harm, which is the oath that all doctors take, the Hippocratic Oath. To your patients, the first thing your number one rule is do not hurt them, do not harm them. So the story is about a child who is having chronic seizures and goes from being able to walk and talk to being completely unable to function.
Wow.
And the director of it, Jim Abrams, his actual son had seizures and had completely regressed. He was like 3 years old, and then went to regress terribly to not being able to walk and talk with all the medication that they had put him on. So I was hired to work with Meryl Streep's son. So we kind of worked together because the kid was younger. What I did is studied all these tapes on seizures. I met with a doctor and talked with the doctor about the types of seizures. Then I broke it down for the kid so that we named them with funny names. Okay, now we're going to do spastic. Now we're going to do jiggle. Now we're going to do stare. Now we're,
Yeah.
And we partly made a game out of it, a concentration game. It was an interesting thing because there were two kids they were deciding between, and there was one coach working with one kid and I was working with the other kid. And so we put them on tape, each of us, and then we sent them to the director, and then the director showed them to Meryl Streep. And Meryl Streep picked the child she wanted to be her son.
Amazing.
When she saw the kid that I coached, she said she started crying because I had the kid do an improv.
Oh, you did, Mary?
Because I'm an improviser.
Yes.
So we did the dialogue, but then I had him go into an improvisation.
Amazing. That's like extra credit in a school class. You did like bonus extra effort there. So Meryl Streep watched that
and started crying. And she said, that's the kid.
Wow. So you made Meryl Streep cry.
I never thought of that.
From a performance. It was that good. It touched her emotionally. Wow. Wow, Mary. That's incredible. What a wonderful story.
She stayed pretty separate on the set. She would come on the set and she'd bring a book with her.
Really?
And she would sit in the corner, and her hairdresser, makeup guy would stand in front of her, and that was the message: leave her alone.
So very focused and very
quiet and very separate, and that was her process.
Amazing. But you got to meet her, shake her hand.
As the film went on, we just, in between takes, we would all hang around each other and talk and tell stories. What? She told one great story, I'll tell you, because she told it to a number of us. But when she was on the movie Out of Africa, do you remember Out of Africa?
Yes.
Dennison. It's such a great book. An amazing movie. So there's a scene when she arrives in Africa and all of these servants come who are there to greet her. So she gets off the plane, or I can't remember whether it was a Jeep. But she arrives and she goes down and shakes hands with people, and they bow to her and she bows to them, and she goes down this whole line, and then she gets to the very end, they say cut, and she yells, Roy, that's her assistant, hairdresser, makeup guy. Roy, get over here, quick, hug me, slap me on the back. So he's like going, okay, what, are you okay, what? There was a huge bug that had dropped down her dress.
Oh my.
Was biting her.
Oh dear. Of all
and she would not break the take.
Oh, that's a true actress.
Did not break the take. Well, you know, that's one of the cardinal rules of acting. You flub your line, you mess up, whatever. You never break the take. Only the director says cut. You just keep going.
Yes.
You have to keep in it. You have to keep going.
Such a true artist and true to her craft, and that's amazing, Mary. That's amazing. And so bravo to you on that, and bravo to Meryl for doing that as well. Boy, we do love Meryl. I just saw her. I rewatched a film that she makes everything great, you know, Meryl does. Also, I wanted to mention the other poster that you worked on, The Next Best Thing with Madonna, and talk to us about that. Now, this was a big budget movie as well. Did you coach Madonna?
No, I did not coach Madonna.
Okay.
Not her own coach, although her coach was not on the set.
Okay. So she had her own coach. Did you coach the this is
on that show again? I coached a kid. Okay. I coached the boy who played their son.
Oh, you know,
Donna and Rupert Everett's son.
This is such a compliment to you, Mary, because coaching children, you have to be very empathetic and compassionate and understanding, very patient, and have different angles to for teaching methods. And so that, what a high compliment. You're such a lovely soul. You're a beautiful spirit, Mary, for doing that, because not everyone can do that. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. And I love children. I go right to their world, and I am not condescending. I talk to them like an adult.
Yes.
I'm compassionate, and yes, I'm sensitive. And the thing is, kids play themselves.
Yes, they do.
So, and they're not inhibited. The kids who are attracted to being actors, they're just going to be themselves, you know. And the interesting thing, when I was on Malcolm in the Middle, all those kids, I remember talking to Justin Burfield, who played Reese on Malcolm in the Middle. I remember saying to him, so Justin, remember that year? Remember that show you did when you blah, blah? And he said, I don't remember it. And I do believe this to be true. Kids 10 and under are not conscious yet. They remember highlights. Think about how much of your childhood you remember. You remember lots of your childhood, but you don't remember every moment. You remember seminal moments to you. Yes. But I remembered certain moments that I, both to Frankie Muniz and to Justin, I'd say, remember when that happened? They were, oh.
That's typical of you know, being in the present, in the moment, right? And not really.
Yeah, but I'll tell you something that was incredible is working with Bryan Cranston.
Oh.
So Bryan was the father on Malcolm in the Middle, and he was my acting partner in acting school. So I knew Bryan before the series.
Oh my God.
So we were friends before that. And did you watch Breaking Bad at all?
Yes, amazing.
Yeah, so he's a phenomenal actor. And one of the things that really stood out on Malcolm is, of anyone on the entire set, he always came the most prepared.
Oh.
He was incredibly prepared. He was focused. He had a million ideas. He was always pitching his ideas to the producers. And as a result, they kept writing more and more and more for him.
Oh my gosh. What a great energy to be around, Mary.
Oh, yeah. And the other thing I want to say about that too, because I was on the set with I worked on a movie called Sleepers with Robert De Niro and Dustin Hoffman. And I remember a day on Sleepers where Robert De Niro did not know his lines almost half the day. Now, he was shooting, he had his own production company, and he was shooting another movie simultaneously. So he was going back and forth to both movies. But it was stunning to me at the time. I thought, oh my God, he's human. And the same thing happened to Bryan Cranston one day on Malcolm. He was blank. He kept blanking. And it so rarely happens. But when it does, everybody's just cool.
Yeah.
You're human.
Yeah.
And we all have good days, bad days.
That's right.
So I always want to encourage actors when they say, oh, I can't memorize lines or I'm having a hard time. Welcome to the world. And you just have good people around you to support you. And you just keep being gentle to yourself and go one step at a time. You can do it.
I love this. I love your philosophy, Mary. You are incredible. And so how can people follow you, get in touch with you, to support you, take acting?
Okay, so I'm going to be teaching acting classes in Los Angeles in February next year. I do one-on-one classes. I do Zoom classes one-on-one with people. I have Mary McCusker Acting Studio. I also, that's my .com, but I also have, I'm on Instagram. So it's Mary McCusker Studio on Instagram.
Great.
And I guess Facebook is similar too.
Yes, wonderful. And as we mentioned before, we can get your book on Amazon.com, right?
Yes.
And
it's good for the good Christmas present.
It's such a great and fun Christmas present. And it's perfect because look at the beautiful red. That's perfect for the season as well. I enjoyed this so much. This is one of my favorite books, Mary. You've done outstanding. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
I
wrote it during the pandemic.
It's incredible that you did, because you're a multitasker. You're a multitasker artist. You you've acted, you are an author, and you're an acting coach. So you've really got some incredible talents to offer the world, Mary. We're so happy that I'm so happy that you were on my show tonight. I was so excited.
Thank you.
And so, yes, so everyone, please follow Mary, get in touch with her for her wonderful coaching classes and acting classes. Buy her book on Amazon.com. And Mary, oh my gosh, it's gone so fast, the time.
We even went over.
But I want to do our heart messages. So every show we do our heart messages, and it's something that we share. It can be a shout out or something that's important to you, Mary. I'll start it. I'm just going to say that. Now I just want to say one thing. This is so important to me, whatever your belief is in life, because we talked a little bit about spirituality. Faith training builds up both muscle and endurance. So whatever you believe in, and even if it's just your craft, to build that up with muscle and endurance. And like Mary said, keep going, continue it, continue the effort, because results do pay off and you achieve your goals. So that is my heart message to everybody for encouragement. And over to you, Mary, sweet Mary.
I would say that everyone has a life force. Everyone has within them a talent, a life energy that is to do with your purpose on this planet. And even if you don't know what it is, it can be many things through the course of your life. So I didn't expect to be an on-set acting coach. I thought I wanted to be an actress. I thought I was going to do this. I thought I was going to have children. I did not have children. But I do believe that I have a life force energy, and I believe everybody does. And if you keep humbly searching for it and sharing what your energy and joy is, you will find your way and it will come to you. And it may take some time. I'm speaking to younger people now, but it does come. And I encourage everyone to honor that life force within yourself and know that that is your purpose in being here on this planet.
Yes, Mary. And Mary, I loved what you said. That was so beautiful. And Mary, I want to let you know you're perfect just as you are, because I don't have children either. Jeff and I don't have children. And you know, we're perfect as we are. We're the version we're supposed to be.
Well, I feel my gift is to teach
Yeah.
as many young people as I can on this planet before I leave.
Yes, yes. And you're
And
so great at it. You're one of the best, Mary.
thank you. I hope I come and see you again.
Yes, I want you back on my show in the future. You're such a delight. You're one of my favorite guests. I can tell you this right now. We're going to be friends for life, Mary.
Okay.
And I'm so thankful to Diane Hinds again.
Yes, Diane. Diane put me. So when I told her, Diane, I was doing this book, she said, okay, we have to set dates when you're going to finish it. And I was, no, I can't. She said, yes, you are. I could not have, without her enforcing deadlines and discipline with me, it wouldn't have happened. Diane, you made it happen.
We love you.
She's the first person I thank in the book. So
yes, I saw that. I read that. We
yes.
love you, Diane.
So
and
everybody needs somebody in their life who says, yes, you can do it. Set a date. When are you doing it? No, I can't. Yes, set a date and set dates for yourself.
Yes. And
it's all about discipline.
It's all about discipline. And Deanne is a true friend. So,
yes.
And I consider you as one as well, Mary. Thank you so much for your time.
Maybe someday I'll come up to Oregon and see you.
Yes, I hope so. I would love that. Or maybe I can come down to LA and see you. We can have some coffee.
Yeah.
And until then, Mary,
okay.
It's been such a great time. Much love and respect to you. And until we meet again.
Happy holidays.